Okay, picture this. Have you ever met someone who was just an absolute walking red flag? But instead of, running for the hills, you actually felt your heart race and you walked straight toward them. You probably told yourself, nope, never again. And yet, there you are, staring at your screen, anxiously checking your phone for the 10th time, waiting for a text from the literal exact person who ruins your peace of mind. Well, welcome to today's Explainer, where we are fully decoding the dark biology of toxic attractions.
Seriously, why do we do this to ourselves? Is it just incredibly bad luck? Are we, fundamentally broken? Let me just stop you right there and immediately validate your experience. No, you are not broken, you're not weak, and you are absolutely not foolish. What you are, however, is under a spell. And I don't mean a magical one, I mean a profoundly powerful chemical spell.
So here's the core premise we're unpacking today. Neuroscience reveals this incredibly fascinating, if, honestly, a little terrifying reality. The human brain doesn't just quietly tolerate toxic people. Through very specific biological pathways, it actually becomes chemically addicted to them. So yeah, essentially your brain is the one texting your toxic ex at 2 a.m. It's actively sabotaging you based on its own neurochemical wiring. Crazy, right?
All right, let's get into part one, the dopamine trap and the slot machine effect. To really understand this addiction, we have to look at the master puppeteer of your emotions, dopamine. Now, a lot of people mistakenly think dopamine is the pleasure chemical. It's actually not. It's the chemical of anticipation. It's the literal thrill of the chase. In a healthy, stable relationship, the rewards are entirely predictable, right? They text you back, they show up when they say they will. It's deeply comforting. But to your primitive brain, it feels kind of low voltage and safe, which means it's chemically quiet. Toxic people, on the other hand, bring thrilling uncertainty. They are unpredictable, random, and chemically explosive.
And they achieve this explosive effect through something psychologists call intermittent reinforcement. Think of it exactly like a slot machine. If a slot machine handed you $1 every single time you pulled the lever, well, you'd actually get bored pretty quickly and walk away. But because it pays out completely at random, you keep pulling. You become obsessed. Toxic partners do this perfectly. One day they love bomb you with all this attention, and the very next day, they treat you like a total stranger.
Which brings us to this absolutely crucial takeaway. When they finally give you affection after days of ignoring you, your brain releases this massive, explosive surge of dopamine. You really have to realize here, you aren't actually in love with the person. You are simply addicted to the relief of them finally choosing you again.
Which leads us right into part two, the comfort of chaos and trauma bonds.
So, why does our brain find all this chaos so incredibly comfortable in the first place? Why doesn't it just reject the slot machine entirely? Enter the familiarity bias. This is our subconscious tendency to value what is familiar over what is actually safe. You see, to your primitive survival brain, what is familiar is predictable, and therefore it automatically categorizes it as safe, even if the situation itself is objectively toxic and completely destroying your peace. Let's break down this really dangerous equation. If you grew up in an environment of childhood chaos, where love had to be earned, where you were constantly walking on eggshells, or where validation was strictly conditional, your brain basically mapped out a core belief that love equals struggle. So, what happens? When you meet a chaotic or emotionally unavailable person in your adult reality, a part of your brain lights up and goes, I know this game, I know exactly how to play this. And because of that old mapping, you end up confusing the intense, high anxiety of trying to win them over with actual chemistry. But let's be crystal clear about the biology here. It is not chemistry. It's a trauma bond. You are subconsciously attempting to rewrite your chaotic past by trying to change a toxic person in your present. And that flows directly into part 3, the fixer's fallacy and the savior complex. Let's look at how this builds into another really dark psychological puzzle piece. This one specifically traps highly empathetic people who tend to fall hard for a toxic person's tragic victim narrative. We call this the savior complex. Toxic people are incredibly skilled at playing the victim, right? They always have a tragic past, a crazy ex, or a world that just doesn't understand them. If you're an empathetic person, this savior complex tricks your ego. It gives you a massive boost by making you think, well, everyone else gave up on them, but if I just love them enough, they'll change for me. I'm the only one who can fix them. And this brilliantly illustrates the dangerous loop you get permanently stuck in. It goes exactly like this. First, they manufacture a crisis. Second, you swoop in to rescue them. And third, you get this huge psychological hit of feeling incredibly valuable and needed.
It's a completely self-sustaining cycle that just keeps you hooked on their endless drama. But here is the brutal truth that your brain absolutely does not want to admit. They don't want to be fixed. They aren't looking for a savior to genuinely heal them. They're just looking for someone strong enough to carry their heavy baggage while they actively unpack more.
Which brings us to the most important part of this explainer, Part 4, the rewiring protocol. Having seen all of this biology and psychology at play, the obvious question is, how do we actually break this chemical addiction? How do we manually override your brain's toxic programming so you can finally get your life back? Well, the source material gives us a clear 3-step protocol. It takes conscious effort because, remember, you are literally fighting your own neurochemistry here. But understanding these 3 steps is exactly how you redefine what peace looks like in your life.
Step 1. Recognize the withdrawal. Look, when you finally cut off a toxic person, you are going to feel intense anxiety and loneliness. You'll be overwhelmingly tempted to reach out. You must recognize that this is literally a chemical withdrawal. It is not true love screaming for its soulmate, it's an addiction screaming for a fix. You have to sit with that discomfort and just let the craving pass without acting on it.
Step 2 is you have to redefine what your brain considers boring. Under your old brain mapping, healthy, stable people will initially feel incredibly dull to you. Your brain is telling you peace is boring and confusion is passion. You have to actively teach your brain a brand new mapping. Peace is not boring, peace is a luxury. And confusion isn't passion, it's just dangerous instability.
And finally, step 3, shift the focus. We spend so much energy asking, why do they treat me like this? Why are they acting this way? I urge you to stop doing that right now. Turn the magnifying glass back onto your own self-worth and ask yourself instead, why am I allowing myself to stay in a place where I am treated like this? That shift in perspective, that is where your actual power lies.
To wrap up our explainer today, I really want to leave you with this incredibly liberating thought. Yes, your brain is a powerful organ, but it can be tricked by the wrong patterns. The moment you realize that your attraction to toxicity isn't fate, and it isn't true love, but is literally just a biological chemical loop, the loop instantly loses its destructive power over you. It's like seeing the strings on a puppet.
You are the one in control here. Sure, it takes time to manually rewire these pathways, but you absolutely deserve a love that gives you peace, not a relationship that keeps you trapped in a perpetual psychological war zone. Choose the luxury of peace.
So, the next time your phone buzzes and you feel your heart jump straight into your throat, just ask yourself, are you chasing love, or are you just pulling the lever on a broken slot machine? If this explainer opened your eyes to why you've been stuck in these cycles, do me a favor and drop a dark heart emoji in the comments below so I know you made it all the way to the end. And don't forget to subscribe. We dive deep into the fascinating mechanics of the human mind every single week, and you